Hey, I have a second channel. Cube Comp MTDX. Hey everybody. Here looking at my Dell Inspiron 1525 laptop. This is a laptop I've had since I believe 2012. So I've had this thing for about 10 years now. This is a laptop that followed me through a good bit of my time in college. And let's just say it was with me for quite some time. I retired it in, I believe, 2017 or 2018. Replaced it with the red HP Sleekbook 15, I think it is, that red laptop I have. And ever since, this thing has been used for just little things here and there, but mostly it's just sitting in storage. But I tell you what, guys, this was actually a pretty nice laptop back in its day. Now, when I first got it in 2012, it wasn't fitted with the nice specs it has now. But let's go and go over those specs. So we have a Intel Core 2 Duo, mobile Core 2 Duo, CPU T9300. It's a 2.5 gig CPU. It was pulled out of, I think, a Dell Latitude D630. The CPU was. I think that particular laptop had some issues, so I pulled the processor out of it and put it in this one. So, memory is 4 gigabytes of G-Skill DDR2. So 2 gigabyte modules for a total of 4 gigabytes. And it uses the Intel integrated graphics from the Intel 965, the mobile Intel 965 Express chipset. So these are not APU graphics by any means. This is way before then. These are actual chipset graphics. So, to give you a quick little backstory on this system, I got it again in 2012, back when I was selling computers on Craigslist. I had a few desktops for sale, and a lady reached out to me on. She responded to my post. She was looking to buy a desktop, and she said, and I should mention, because in my ad, I think I had mentioned I was offering trade-ins or something like that, and she said she had a laptop she wanted to trade in, and I was like, sure, I'll be happy to look at it. So she comes by with this thing, and of course, nowadays it's all worn out and all nice and worn out. But back then, it was actually, it looked mint. She had all the original software CDs and documentation, everything that came with this computer. She had it. And she brought this by, and I'm thinking to myself, what's wrong with the laptop? And she said, it's really slow. And I'm like, well, I would rather, instead of selling you this desktop, I'd actually would rather fix this out for you, because it's a whole lot nicer than the desktop I got for sale. I mean, the desktop I think the desktop she bought was probably a socket 939 AMD. Heck, it might have been 754. It was older than this. And I think I had Windows XP. And I was very clear with her about the specs of the desktop. And I told her, I said, look, I could definitely go over this thing and fix it up for you. You guys, the thing was, this laptop was ordered with pretty bare specs. It had a Pentium dual-core CPU. It had just 1 gigabyte of RAM. It had an 80 gigabyte 5400 RPM SATA hard drive. Windows Vista Home Premium. In case you ever wondered why Windows Vista had such a bad rep, it was because of computers like this in its original form that they were not spec'd out to run the OS at an optimal performance. I told her, I said, look, we could increase the RAM in this thing. I could reinstall Windows Vista. Now, of course, I made another option. Well, actually, no, take it back. I think I may have offered to put Windows 7 on, because of course we had Windows 7 then. I gave her every opportunity to upgrade this and have her take it home, but she didn't want to do that. She wanted a desktop. She said she wanted a desktop, and I was like, okay, I'll give you, I forget exactly what it was, I offered her trade-in off the desktop, but I think it was like $40 or $60 or something like that, because of course I would go through this and wipe it and do everything I do to them, and she accepted the offer, and she bought the desktop. Never heard from her ever again, and here I am with this thing. So soon thereafter, I replaced the battery because the original battery was not holding a charge. I put a better hard drive in it. Matter of fact, I was using my netbook back then, the Inspiron ALA 150. So back then, I just pulled the 160 gig hard drive out of it. Still a 5400 RPM drive. I stuck it in this just to give it a little more storage. But soon down the road, I swapped out the processor for the much better Core 2 Duo CPU that's in it now. Increased the RAM to 4 gigabytes. I put in a Seagate 500 gigabyte solid state hybrid drive. I've also I swapped out the DVD-ROM drive for a DVD burn because DVDs were still more of a thing back then. I basically wanted to make this a nice computer for on the go. And this was a machine I took with me on vacation back in the day. Trying to think of what else I did to it. Oh yeah, in more recent years, I upgraded the hard drive to an SSD. And the reason might surprise you. This thing actually got ran over. Yes, it actually got ran over. One evening when I was leaving work, I had my laptop bag with this in it. I set it down next to my Jeep. Unlocked the vehicle, got in, forgot to pick this up and put it in the passenger seat. I back out of the parking space and I felt like I hit a speed bump. I'm like, oh crap. And I get out. Sure enough, I ran over this thing. So this part of the machine took the brunt of it. It was so bad that it actually warped the hard drive. It bent the entire hard drive. Had to replace the screen in the hard drive, and that was it. And this thing, it runs to this day. So, another thing I did is I put in I changed out the wireless G Wi-Fi adapter for a wireless N. Anyways, that's my little introduction to this thing. So, in this video, I'm going to be putting Windows 11 on this thing. I'm going to try Windows 11 on this whole thing. It currently has a build of Windows 10 on it, and of course, it's trying to do everything in the background right now. It's the first time it's ran, geez, probably a year and a half, 2 years maybe. So we'll see what build of Windows 10 we have on here. So we've actually got Windows 10 build 2004 on here. Yeah. So yeah, we got the. So it was 2020 was the last time this thing had been run. I thought I was kind of thinking it was 2020 the last time I run this thing. But that being said, we're gonna do a Windows 11 install on this thing. Now, of course, we all know this machine does not meet the elite class requirements for Windows 11 set forth by Microsoft, but who cares? We're going to actually install it on here and see how well it runs. So this flash drive was set up using Rufus, I think 3.18 beta, and I checked the option to have it bypass all the checks, which I don't know if that really matters or not whenever you're doing a clean install. We're going to actually do a clean install. So now the machine, if I didn't mention, has I think a 240 or 250 gigabyte SSD in it. Won't be surprised if the thing tries to. Okay, I was going to see if it's going to start installing updates at random. Okay, let's go ahead and run to setup. Skip this. We have a Windows 10 Pro license, so we're going to choose Windows 11 Pro. Accept the terms. We'll choose custom here. We're going to wipe everything. Alrighty, let it do its thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and run through setup here. I see the Wi-Fi is working. Bypass internet there. Tell you what, guys, I miss the good old days when laptop keyboards actually felt decent. I think it's safe to say this laptop is a product of a bygone era. Back when consumer grade laptops were rugged, durable, easy to upgrade, you name it. Nowadays they're practically throwaway. If it breaks, you pretty much chunk it and buy a new one. Do not want OneDrive installing on this. And we got the desktop there. We're still waiting on the taskbar. I can definitely say that Windows 11 it's like a new Windows Vista. And one of the reasons why I say that is it isn't not exactly just because of its super high requirements, but just a simple fact, it's a sleek and pretty OS. I'll go ahead and plug in our internet so we can download drivers. But it's a sleek and pretty OS, and it's from a time, I mean, you think about Windows Vista, it was a sleek and pretty OS, and computers that were being released to run Windows Vista had features such as glossy LCD panels. Now this is actually a CCFL panel, it's not an LED panel, so that's why it's kind of dim. The LED panels were far brighter and more energy efficient, but you can see that this is a glossy panel. And I think the glossy panel, just like it added to the Windows Vista eye candy experience, also seems to add to the Windows 11 eye candy experience. So we're going to let this install drivers and everything. Oh, look, there's our taskbar. We're going to let this install drivers and everything, and we'll come back and continue this further. Okay, everybody, so I've given this thing some time to install drivers and stuff like that, at least the critical drivers. So now we're going to take an opportunity to show y'all around this thing. So I'm going to start it up. and let's have a look. So I should mention this computer is from 2008. And what's funny is, yeah, it's plugged in, but it said your battery is low. Yeah, so the battery in this old machine is definitely on its last leg. You can see it's plugged in, and watch Windows shuts down. I think this is a bug in Windows, to be honest, because my Red HP will do the same thing. Even though the computer is plugged in, the battery is low, it will still shut down. Start it back up and it'll work fine. So it's kind of out of hibernation now. We'll do another restart on this before we finish the video up. I tell you guys, that glossy screen, it really, I think, like I think I mentioned earlier, it adds to the Windows 11 eye candy experience. Okay, so going to have to install the PC Help Check application, which is intended for Windows 10. That way we can see how this computer that runs Windows 11 Pro pretty well doesn't meet the Microsoft Elite class requirements for Windows 11. You can see it's had an opportunity to install the preloaded junk, like the like for example the Spotify, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Prime Video. I never asked for this stuff, it just put on there anyway. So anyways, let's go ahead and fetch that installer. Okay, let's go ahead and install this. Alright, let's go ahead and launch the PC Help Check. Okay, so of course there's a little bit of our specs there. 4 gigs of RAM, 240 gig SSD, 12 years old, which is not accurate. It's actually a 2008, so it's really 14 years old. I think it just guesses off the date of the BIOS or something like that. I don't know for sure. But yeah, this application was intended to be installed on Windows 10, and yeah, I question that too. 81% of the design capacity. The fact that it was pretty much dead when I plugged this thing in tells me that the battery is running down pretty fast. There's probably some bad cells in there. I may have to harvest the cells, but it would probably be kind of a waste of my time because I think the cells are pretty much used up. But, let's go ahead and check now to see, of course, that our computer running Windows 11 Pro does not meet Microsoft's Elite class requirements for Windows 11. The PC must support Secure Boot. TPM2 must be enabled. Processor isn't currently supported. Let's see our results. You get past all of those, it actually meets the requirements. I mean, the processor has 2 or more cores. The system disk is 64 gigs or larger. There's at least 4 gigs of RAM. So, aside from this crap here, this computer can run Windows 11. And it seems to run it pretty well. It ain't the fastest thing in the world. But the fact that, it runs it pretty well is just, it comes to show how high Microsoft set some of the requirements for Windows 11. And as I've said in other videos like this, when 2025 comes, we're going to get to witness what happens with Windows 10, because there's going to be a lot of computers out there that are still going to be running Windows 10. They're perfectly decent computers. Some of these computers not that old. I mean, we're talking like 7th gen Intel or Intel i7 or your Core series, or Ryzen 1000 series from AMD. Computers that are still relatively decent. Even in 2025, they'll still be relatively decent. But according to Microsoft, you should throw those computers in the trash and go buy a new PC to run Windows 11. But I can tell you right now that there's going to be a lot of computers that come 2025 are going to still be running Windows 10. And of course, many in the computer tech enthusiast community say, oh, just install Linux. Well, we're talking about people who don't work on computers for 11, or people who don't work on computers for a hobby. We're talking about people who do things totally different and may not know much about computers. They'll still be running Windows 10 in 2025, and Microsoft will be faced with a decision to make on whether to either relax the requirements on Windows 11 or have to provide extended support for Windows 10, kind of like they did with Windows XP. So, I mean, Windows XP, which was released in 2001, ended up getting extended support until 2014. So let's have a look here at our resource usage. And of course the thing's doing some stuff in the background, as always. Let's see what's using that CPU pretty hard. Oh, of course, as we kind of figured, Windows Update. Windows Update. So if we go into settings and go look at Windows Update, we'll probably see that this thing is installing updates left and right. So there is a pretty easy fix for that, which I had covered for Windows 10, but also it works for Windows 11. You can go into Group Policy Editor and set this up. But I've actually got a registry fix that I can apply. It changes the Windows Update policy to notify to download. I can't say the touchpad on this laptop. It's although I've definitely liked this machine, the touchpad is not one of the things I've liked about it. This trackpad has got to be the worst trackpad I've ever used. It is terrible. It is just absolutely terrible. So it looks like in Windows 11 they've moved administrative tools to settings apparently. Okay, so I just restarted the thing, and of course that comes to show that even when you install Windows 11 on a system that does not meet the Microsoft Elite class requirements, Windows Update still seems to work. It still seems to install updates and stuff like that even in the background, like it typically does. So I've installed the fix, and I've restarted the computer, and that should stop Windows Update from automatically installing stuff. So yeah, there you have it. And just for example, in the background I went ahead and installed Google Chrome. So going to pull up YouTube and see how this thing handles modern day video. Oh yeah, look here. So in Windows 11 until you install the cumulative update. Setting your default browser is just a pain, which I don't think. Yep, it has not been installed yet, so that'll be something I believe will be baked right into Windows 11 22H2. I think that's the next build that's coming out. But yeah, that's one of the big things about Windows 11 that makes it a deal breaker for me, is the fact that it's more difficult even after the hotfix or the cumulative update. Even afterwards, it's still kind of difficult to manage your default applications, whereas on Windows 10 it was very simple. So yeah, there's two big things that are preventing me from running Windows 11 on like my system at Tower Lux full time. Is again the making it more difficult to set your defaults, as well as thumbnails. For example, previewing images and videos in Windows 11, it's not quite so easy. And I'll show you, for example, in let's go look up the images for like wallpapers and stuff like that. I think it's in, let's see, I think it's in Windows. You can see Windows Web. Here we are, wallpapers, and there's different ones in here too. So what those now, file thumbnails do work obviously, but folder thumbnails is what I was actually talking about. You see right now, this is useless to me. For anybody who edits videos and stuff like that, it's just useless when you cannot preview folders. You have to go into the folder to see what's in there, which I think for a lot of people is a deal breaker for sure. It's just simply a deal breaker. So hopefully this is something that will be fixed in the next build of Windows 11. I think it is going to be fixed. So yeah, two big things there. So let's see how this computer can run YouTube nowadays. And of course the cooling fan is just screaming right along. That's just the way the fan always has been in this machine. It's not like it's like super overheating or anything. There's plenty of air getting thrown out the back of it. It's just the fan curve on this machine, I think, is a bit more aggressive than some laptops. Yeah, like I say, the trackpad on this thing is just horrible. This is the kind of computer that you would want to hook them out. Who would definitely want to plug a mouse into. So here's a video I recently posted.
Hey, I have a second channel, Cube Copy MTTX.
Alright, let's try full HD.
Hey everybody, you're looking at a heat pump defrost control board and the associated defrost switch that the system.
So you can see
the system coil. Now, when there's frost there, it's totally necessary.
You can see that it's actually playing back full HD just fine.
Because it's typical nature, because the outside coil gets colder than the outside air, and when it's below freezing.
Another thing that's interesting is the built-in buttons right there work. These little touch controls above the keyboard. Those work. Now I should mention this screen is not full HD, so it does not make sense to play anything more than like 720p on this machine. Like, for example, do a little multitasking here, why not?
The compressor, which the time allotment is set by this little jumper here. You can set it to 30, 60, or 90. And what this does is when that switch closes, it
So this resolution on this machine, the native resolution is 1280 by 800. So 1280 by 720 is generally what you want to run on this. But I mean, it is playing. The computer is rendering full HD, and it's not skipping around and doing crazy stuff. So I'm pretty impressed there. So, although this computer is not the fastest in the world, it's running Windows 11, and I would say it's still usable. I mean, for general tasks like watching YouTube or checking email and doing basic stuff, this machine would still work just fine. And yeah, I must say it's just a fine example of course, a lot of computers out there are still, I'd say, usable, but they're being basically cut off by, well, these insane hardware requirements that they're pushing on, like Windows 11, for example. So, the Dell Inspiron 1525 is just another example of a computer that does not meet the Microsoft Elite class requirements for Windows 11, running Windows 11 pretty well. I must say it's not as fast as like some other computers around here, like the Q6600. I mean, this is a Core 2 Duo. Obviously, it's not as powerful as the Core 2 Quad, but that system down there, which houses former Blackmax hardware, it's AMD A6 6420K. It actually runs Windows 11 really well. So, anyways, guys, that's another example of an older computer. In this case, a 2008 computer running Windows 11. So, anyways, before I wrap this up, let's go and do that restart. Just about forgot there. Let's go and do a restart of this thing. So, I'll just go ahead and close out everything and then have it restart. I mean, even the visual effects are working well on this. And this machine does not have the latest and greatest graphics by any means. It's integrated chipset graphics, for crying out loud. Alright. Updates are underway. Alright, we'll hang on a second on this. Okay, let's try this again. Of course, that glossy screen reflects everything like a mirror. Not too bad, not too bad. I didn't actually time that out, but I'd say that's pretty reasonable. I mean, we are talking about a computer that's 14 years old with a solid-state drive installed in it, so yeah, guys, just another example. And just for laughs, I want to show y'all something here. The built-in webcam. Yeah, look at that low, look at that awesome low frame rate there, guys. That was how webcams were back in 2008. I mean, there wasn't really that much to them. This is before HD webcams. It's a standard, like 480p. Let's see if it shows a resolution in here. Well, that's photo quality there. Oh, 600p. So it can do up to 600p. Interesting. But the of course you can tell like the frame rate is just not that great. But actually no, hang on it. Let me try something here. Why don't we just snap a picture just for the heck of it? You know, that's actually not terrible. Let me get this out of the way. You can see the camera, for example, comes out pretty clear on this. So, you know, and of course, stuff in the background, got the power supplies on the shelf like behind me. That's actually better than I thought it would be. So let's go ahead and switch over to video. Do a little video test here. Okay, everybody, this is the test of the video on the webcam of the Inspiron 1525 running Windows 11 Pro. Alright, let's play that back. Apparently we don't have a microphone. Probably have to install a different sound driver. Apparently it's not picking up the integrated mic. So and of course I hear that they're consistently taking more stuff out of control panel, moving it into the settings app. Okay, sound is still in there. I still like the old classic sound part of the control panel. Let's go to recording. Yeah, it's not picking up at all. So that'll be why we don't have sound. It could just be I'm gonna say it's likely a driver because I know the microphone does work in this thing. So that's why sometimes it's best to go hunt for the OEM drivers and not just always rely on the Windows drivers, because sometimes they can be buggy and not always work properly. Now another crazy thing is, well, we're still running the application, but if I close this out, see if the camera shuts off. The crazy thing is the camera light still remains lit up, so it could be a driver issue. Let's see, if I restart the computer, it'll cause that to go out. And it just went out. Tell you what, guys, I know some people hate the glossy screens, but I like them. I think they're pretty. They made Windows Vista and Windows 7 look good, and honestly I think they make Windows 11 look good too. And the sounds are working. It's just kind of hard to hear them in the background there. And of course hear them over the fan. So that's probably another thing. Not gonna bore you guys out too much more. So yeah, that is Windows 11 on the Dell Inspiron 1525. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Well, everybody, that wraps it up for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Computer Channel, and be sure to tick that bell so you'll get notified when new videos are posted. Also, don't forget, I have a whole lot of other interesting videos here on the channel to check out. And also, in addition, I have a second channel, CubeCompMTDX, where I have all sorts of other videos not exactly related to technology. Links to the channels are available at the end of this video. Again, I thank you for your support and thanks for watching this video.